Well, welcome to the show. I have the pleasure of inviting a very special guest, Shannon, to my show. Shannon, I've known for I don't know a lot of. I went through your chart, Shannon. I think it's been since like 2011 or 12. Was
Yeah.
we're talking about what maybe 13, 14 years or so.
Yeah.
Uh, Anyway, if you can just share with us, go back in time, when you're younger, just kind of share with us your life, this beginning from the beginning and moving forward.
Um, well, I, like a lot of people, I had kind of a rough childhood, a split family, all that. Um, so, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I had a lot of problems with depression and really bad social anxiety. But
What age does that start about?
I mean, as far back as I can remember, like 6 years old, I remember being around other kids and being really uncomfortable. And my mom would look at me and be like, oh, she's playing shy right now. But
Mm,
she didn't understand that I was actually so uncomfortable. And, my parents didn't understand why I always wanted to be like attached to them. I was so afraid of being with other people and talking to people. I don't know. So I was very uncomfortable. I found it very difficult to make friends, going back and forth between my parents' houses.
mhm.
And then when I got to be a teenager, um, I guess, I was first going through puberty, and that's when it really started to come out, the depression and anxiety. That was the first time I started having thoughts of suicide. I was also going through a lot of change. I moved from my mom's to my dad's full time, and it was a really big change. I was just, my head was everywhere. And my mom had seen me lose a lot of weight. She knew something was wrong, but the adults in my life didn't know how to address it. So visibly they could even see something was wrong, but nobody knew how to talk to me, or no one suggested let's go get help. So I just basically sat and suffered in silence,
Were you
and then
were you
it just got worse.
did you have anorexia or?
I went through phases of starving myself and binge eating. It that went off and on through high school and in my early 20s.
Did you
um, huh
did you ever purge?
I only did that when I was in rehab because I wasn't allowed to drink. I wanted to try and control something. So, but yeah, so I just, and then I really started going through puberty a lot. I was kind of a late bloomer. So I was like 15. And that's when I got really bad. And I think that's when the bipolar really started to kick in.
Mhm.
And it was like, it was like a 6 month, it was like a cyclical thing where I would be high and happy and loved life. And I would just love being me for like 6 months. And then I would crash and burn for 6 months. And I was just down in the dumps and crying, and I couldn't function, and I couldn't pick my head up off the floor. And nobody knew what to do with me, but nobody tried. And so to me, that was just my normal.
Mhm.
Um, and then fast forward to I'm like 21, and my daughter's dad dared to tell me, hey, I looked online and I saw this thing about bipolar. I think that you might be bipolar. And so I read the questions, and I was like, yeah, I have all that stuff. That's normal. And
And
he said,
you, and you were 21 then?
I think I was, yeah, 21. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's normal. He said, no, I don't have any of that. That's not normal. And at the time, like, I wouldn't even be able to focus on a single thought. Like everything would rush through my head all the time. So it was like watching 100 movies at one time. and I couldn't focus on a single scene because by the time I'd capture it, the next one would come through. So my thoughts were always racing. And then one thing would happen and trip me up, and I'd have such bad anxiety. I'd start panicking and sweating and choking on my breath and shaking. And then I'd have my depression where I just couldn't function. And then I'd be high. So it was like, I just got slammed with everything, you know. My brain was definitely not right. And then and when I was a teenager, my parents just taught me, oh, just have a drink and make it go away. So that was how I learned how to cope. So my alcoholism took off. And then when my daughter's dad told me, yeah, you might be bipolar, well, I went to see a psychiatrist, and she was like, yeah, you're bipolar and you have anxiety and depression. I want to put you on medicine. But then I found out I was pregnant with my daughter by that time, so I couldn't take anything. So after I had her, I tried taking something, but I wasn't on the right medicine. So it ended up sending me the other way. And I ended up taking a trip to the psych ward against my wishes.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I actually tried to take my life.
How did you try to do that?
I ate a bottle of pills
Okay.
and washed it down with a bunch of booze.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind at the time, I was so depressed, and I had told the psychiatrist, I'm just getting worse. I'm just getting sadder. I don't know what to do. And I just felt in my mind that my daughter would be better off never knowing me than to grow up the way that I did, being in a split house. So that was where my head was.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to ruin her life, basically. And then when I got out of the hospital, that lady was just kind of no good. So I ended up moving away, and I think I was just on Wellbutrin and Effexor for several years, and that kind of kept me. No, that didn't even keep me. I just drank a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really depressed and drank. And then this brought me into my late 20s. Then I had no medical for my health, my mental health. And then when I was like 31, I was really bad again. And I thought, oh my God, my daughter will be better off without me because I'm so depressed all the time. Like my depression had gotten to the point where it had like manifested itself into like a physical, it felt like my stomach was just getting ripped out of my body. And the anxiety was so bad, I just constantly couldn't breathe. Like my chest was caving in on me. And that's when a girl told me about you. And it was right after my second 5150. And she was like, hey, I know this doctor. I know you don't have mental health benefits, but he'll see you. Just go see him. Trust me, he's great. And that was when I went to see you, and you started the journey with me. And I did not make it easy for you. And it took a long time. I remember going, like, you trying me on meds. And I remember this one time going to your office and saying, this doesn't work for me. I black out after one drink. You have to give me something else. And you saying, do you think you could cut back on the drinking? Nope. No, I just need you to give me something else. So it was quite a journey, but now I am so happy and so good. I can't believe like I had to live the first, 30, well, however many odd years with that to get to this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And tell me about the alcoholism. When did you finally deal with that?
I had too much to drink one night, and my boyfriend and I at the time, not sure if the condom broke or we're not really sure what happened. So we made a baby and decided to give that baby up for adoption because I was almost 38 years old and not prepared financially, yes, but I had my own teenager. I didn't want to do that. So I didn't want to ruin someone else's life. So after I gave that baby away, my psychiatrist at the time, I was like seeing a specialty one to help pregnant ladies.
Yeah.
And that was when I took like a baby break from you to see the pregnant lady one.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically told me I needed to go to rehab or she was going to send me to the psych ward because I was that messed up. And she convinced me that it was going to be like a vacation at the beach. And so she lied to me. She told me lies, but it was good. So I went to rehab and it got me sober. I stayed sober, like a few months. And then I started drinking again a little bit. And then one week I drank every day for like a week and it freaked me out. And so I took myself to rehab and I've been sober ever since.
How many
And that was,
years now?
I just celebrated 6 years.
Wow. Good for you.
I know. So from the girl that was like, give me different meds, I'm not going to quit drinking, to now I've been sober 6 years. I mean, it took me long enough to get my stuff together, but yeah.
And you've had some relationship wise, some rocky. Maybe, yeah, exactly. It's like I'm saying it kindly there, but
yes.
You had
the one guy that used to steal my psych meds and my pain meds, he actually overdosed on heroin. The other guy that used to drink all the time, he ended up going to rehab multiple times and have seizures and stuff from all his alcohol. So it's amazing that I actually got away from those people.
Yeah.
And came out unscathed for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you have to sometimes you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince.
Yes.
And now I know you're doing great. You're living in Florida now.
Yes.
You actually picked a really good one this time.
Yes. Yes. I mean, literally, like, I think it was probably in the first 12 minutes that I met him. I told him, well, so, I am batshit crazy. Well, not really crazy. I mean, I take a cocktail of pills every day to calm the crazy. And he was like, okay, well, tell me about that. And so I explained to him, well, my brain just doesn't work like other people. It's like things just don't connect. So, I take pills to like make everything work the way it's supposed to. So, if I don't take the pills, then I'm crazy, but I take the pills, so I'm good. And he was like, oh, well, that's like the way I take my vitamins and my supplements. If I don't take them, like my head gets foggy, my body doesn't feel good. So it's like the same thing. And that was the first time anybody ever said anything like that to me. Like, so he has always referred to my psych meds as my vitamins. He doesn't think I'm crazy. He doesn't put me down. He doesn't think I'm weird. Like, in his mind, it's just part of the routine, the same way that he takes his omegas. It's like,
right.
It's just part of the routine. And he told me from that day, it's important to me that you stay current with that because it's part of your physical health as much as it's your mental health. And like, I just knew from that first day, like, what an amazing person. My own family has never been that supportive of me. So yeah, I definitely got a winner.
Yeah, that's not a lot of guys. A lot of guys are going to hear you say that and like, oh, okay, I'm not here. But but the fact that he has the maturity to understand, because I talk about this with patients all the time. Like, look at these. These are your brain vitamins. Okay, your brain doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to, and all these are doing is trying to correct that problem. Going back, there's, and people who watch my show, I talk about this stuff a lot, but what ties into all this is genetics. It runs in your family. And again, I remember like your parents, and I mean, where do you see family history? Or maybe family and.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of boozers on both sides.
Right.
My mom was adopted, so I don't know exactly on her side. But growing up, I know she was a drinker, even though she tried to hide it. My
Right,
dad's whole side, they're all alcoholics. So they just, you know, took care of themselves in that way.
right.
Everyone's died of something related to alcohol or smoking. And you could see the problems, but no one ever talked about it. No one believed in therapy. Oh, that was nonsense. People that go to therapy and get help, that's ridiculous. So that's what I grew up, around.
Yeah, and basically, because when I take family history and genetic history from people, people say, no, there's no bipolar, there's no anxiety, there's no different. But alcoholism is self-medicating an underlying
Mm-hmm.
disorder, so they probably had some of the things, same thing you have, but just that back then they didn't have all the medication choices we have now. It was more,
Mm-hmm.
back there was more crude. We didn't have some of the modern options we have today. But that's so the underlying factors is genetic. The second big one is hormone changes, and that's where the puberty kicks in. So it's extremely common that it really starts worsening about middle school, or around
Mm-hmm.
right around when puberty hits. And that's
Yeah.
so that hormonal imbalance, that change is that's so when you combine genetics and hormone changes, that's what kind of really sets things off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to look at childhood. There's some trauma. There's family separated, back and forth with your parents or a little bit there. And the fact that you displayed some anxiety at such a young age too, like at 6 years old, that's significant too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that not that that's not uncommon. When sometimes kids have a real difficult time like being dropped off of school, the parent leaving them there, and they just have a really hard time adjusting to that. Um, and then trauma, yeah, like I said, trauma plays a role, and so, but thankfully, and the other thing is when that doctor diagnosed you, affects your Wellbutrin is very interesting choices. People who watch the show understand that I love effects from Wellbutrin. I call them the dynamic duo. I prescribe them a lot for depression, but not for bipolar. So the fact that she treated you with those without a mood stabilizer is really interesting. I don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that thinking at all. That it's just going to make it can make things better as far as the depression part, but it makes the mania, the high higher, and then you crash more. But doesn't prevent the ups and downs. It just maybe takes care of a little bit of the down, but makes the ups maybe even worse. So that was just basically poor treatment choices by that doctor who should
Yes.
who should have known better. And I don't know what they were thinking, but whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
and then with me, it's just, I mean, the journey is basically figuring out the right combination of medications, treat kind of both sides of things. And now you're on, and, we've also diagnosed some ADD also. So now, you're on a combination of Prozac, Wellbutrin, Lamictal, and Topamax and Adderall. So you're a
Yeah.
really good mix there. And then so like the Topamax and Lamictal kind of prevent that kind of up and down feeling.
Mm-hmm.
The Lamictal prevents the down, it also can prevent the up. And then so basically with medication we're really looking for that kind of fine tuning where
Yes.
it's not like you're not going to get sad occasionally for things you should be sad
Mm-hmm.
or and you should get excited about things. So we're not looking to blunt your emotions or to we're looking for a normality really.
Yeah.
That's what medications do. They're basically trying to balance your chemistry, your nervous system. And I like what he said. It's absolutely right. Like I said, I call them brain vitamins, and because
Mm-hmm.
they actually do for you what your body can't do on its own. And I compare it a lot with other medical problems like thyroid. I tell people who take a thyroid supplement, and I said, because when they're asking me, okay, what can I go off of these? And I said, why do you want to go off of these? You're doing well because I don't want to be on all these things. Thankfully, you're past that. Question anymore. You realize it takes a combination. But then I'll say, well, how about your thyroid supplement? When are you going to stop that? I don't know. I never thought about it. I go, right. Well, you're going to be on that the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And or if you treat diabetes or treat your blood pressure or whatever, you're going to keep taking those things. Acid reflux, whatever you take, and oftentimes you take it longer term. I said, that's not a problem. I said, It's just keeping your chemistry balanced. And if you try to go off of things, those things are going to start crashing. But I think it's like once I explain it to people, that they understand and they realize that, okay, I don't want to go back to where I was. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to the point where like, so what? I mean, I'm on a combination of things. Who cares how many things? You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
very,
you and I have had that fight a few times where just a couple of years ago when I first moved here, I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to do the homeopathic." And I got,
I remember.
St. John's worts and all these tinctures and all this
Yeah.
crap. And a few months later, I'm ready to leave my husband.
Yeah.
And so then I called you and I'm like, yeah, I think I need to get back on my meds. And then all of a sudden, like a month later, my husband's like, what's going on? You seem like your normal self again. And I'm like, yeah, I had to get back on my meds. That natural stuff wasn't working. And he's like, please don't ever stop taking your vitamins again.
Oh, good for him. I mean, that's a great guy actually, because so many guys, it's the I'm out of here. If you're going to be like this, I'm out of here. So it's the fact that he has that kind of patience and that love for you and that understanding that that's exactly what I call them. They're your vitamins, and just like
Yeah.
like you said, omega threes, they take their supplements. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is just like that. It really is no different, and it shouldn't be. And a lot of people do that. They say, I've been on these for a while. I think I'll do the St. John's wort, the SAMe, the 5-HTP, the GABA, and so people go off of them and go on those things. They don't work. I mean, not that they can't work for some people, but they're missing the point. They're trying to add serotonin. They're trying to add things to your system, and you don't have a lack of the chemicals. You have an imbalance of chemicals. So what these medications you taking, or they're balancing what you have already. They're not adding or subtracting anything in your system. They're just making everything go the right direction, really. And then over the counters just don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, there may be some people who benefit from those, but maybe they don't see me because they benefit from those. But a lot of people see me because they've tried those things and they haven't worked, and they're thinking, well, my naturopathic doctor said they should work and they aren't. I said, well, I might not. I don't mean to disparage other providers, this just I'm sorry, but this doesn't work and it won't work.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to take it more seriously than that. And
Yeah.
but again, I think naturopaths and acupuncturists and other people, chiropractors can play. They all play. Everyone plays a role. And I'm not always all about just medications. I talk to people about exercise and learning to relax,
Yeah.
learning yoga, meditation, yoga, whatever helps you to relax.
Mhm.
I'm big on exercise regularly.
Well,
Um,
that is something that you and I have talked about a lot is I have to get outside and get sunshine. When I don't get outside and do that, that affects me a lot. So that's something else that is considered a vitamin for me in this house. I have to get my sunshine every day. So, if I don't, my husband's like, "Okay, when was the last time you went outside?" No, you have to quit working, go outside.
right.
So it's just another vitamin that I have to take.
And by the way, you live in Florida, so there's a lot of sunshine in that state.
Yes, there is sunshine on me right now.
No problem with sunshine in Florida, that's for sure. I'm
Yes,
sure it's getting pretty hot there right now too.
it is, and I love it. I'm out there every day.
Well, yeah, I'm big. I walk every day. I walk at least 3 miles every morning, 7 days a week, and
Mhm.
I power walk, so I work up a good sweat. But that's how I like to start every day, and it's just a way it puts you in a good mind frame, Because with what I do, talking with people all day about their mental health, it just you have to be healthy. I have to, because I hear a lot of tough things to hear. I hear a lot of people
Mhm.
struggling, and I hear a lot of people who are suicidal and people who are struggling with addiction, and it's with the job with what I do, it's not always easy, so I have to make sure my own mental health is taken care of, in order to help other people too.
Mhm.
uh,
That whole the addiction thing too, that was something that being honest with you about all of that was really good for me and it helped you to help me. Like when I tried drugs, I told you about it. Like I remember telling you I tried uh I think it was meth or something and I'm like I loved it. The guy that did it, he was all antsy, but for me, the whole world stood still. My brain could finally relax. It was great. And that was when you're like, well, the reaction that you're getting, it tells me there's something off in your brain. It was like I was always honest with you about that stuff.
Right.
And that to me was always important. You didn't judge me, you didn't put me down. You made me very comfortable, and not all doctors are like that. I've always very much appreciated that. And when I would go to you and say, "Oh, this gets me messed up when I drink," you didn't say, "I'm giving up on you." Like, this was definitely a journey with us, and I really appreciate you not giving up on me.
Well, when someone says that about the experience with methamphetamines, like I said, if all that told me right there is you have ADD. So because when you have ADD, a stimulant is actually calming and it relaxes your brain. But methamphetamine is a very unhealthy drug to be on. It hijacks the dopamine pathway that's really bad for the brain. So, but when I heard that, and again, some doctors are going to hear that go, I'm not going to put you on Adderall because you did meth. And it's like, okay, well, you experienced with it. That's not ruling it out. What I say is, okay, well, you've got ADD. Let's treat it properly, though. Let's just do it the right
Mhm.
way. And then people will say, well, it's the same thing as meth. It's not the same thing as meth. It's just when people say it's ridiculous, they don't know what they're talking about, and so,
Yeah, it's definitely not. I tried it that one time
right,
and I was like, "Oh my God, my brain finally got to be still instead of all the craziness."
right,
And it's been so great to not have to have a crazy head.
right,
It's just I'm so thankful that just to be able to be honest with you, my God, because I think other doctors would say, "Oh, she's an addict. She tried that one time." Like, when I went to rehab, I absolutely alcoholic. But I've told people, well, I tried other drugs, but like, that's just not my thing.
right,
I just dated someone that was an addict,
right,
but I tried it, but I just, like, I always had pain medicine for my back, but I used it sparingly because
right,
I didn't want it to never
right.
not work, but definitely an alcoholic.
Well, yeah, and now that you're sober, that's great, and just
Yeah.
you have to stay sober. And do you do AA at all, or do
I
church?
haven't really since I moved over here. I've only gone to a couple of my Zoom meetings with my old group
Yeah,
back home.
yeah,
But I mean, I go to church regularly. I'm involved in church. I serve and stuff.
yeah.
I just don't, I'm more into church than I am into AA.
Good, good,
But yeah. And I did find a beer I like, but it has no alcohol, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
good, good. I'm a beer
And
guy.
there was something else. My husband, the day he met me, I told him that I was an alcoholic and I didn't drink. And like a week or two later was 4th of July, and that was like the last time he drank. He was like, "Well, you don't drink, so I'm just not going to drink." So he quit when he met me.
Wow, you got the gem there. I'm telling you, you really do.
Yes. So to all the single ladies, there's still good guys out there.
Well, I haven't seen it. You look great, by the way. I haven't seen it in a
Thank you.
while. You look fantastic. And
Thank you. I'm happy.
anything else before we close out? Anything else you'd like to share?
Just to never give up. Like, that's something that I tell my daughter. I know, you probably know, she's like, sometimes she won't talk to you for a while, and then all of a sudden she's dying. And, you know, I could see it in her when she was young. And I told her stepmom, I think she might be starting to have some problems with anxiety and depression. I know, I see it. I dealt with it. And her stepmom was like, I'm not going to put that idea in her head. No, she's fine. But because I didn't live with her full time, I couldn't see it all the time. And that is like my biggest regret with her. But I had no control over that.
Yeah.
And so, as she got older and she started having these issues, especially when she went to boot camp,
Mhm.
I'm like, babe, you got to talk to Dr. Corona.
Yeah.
Like, you have to stay on your meds. If it's not working, tell him. He will change it. I swear to you, he will get you on the right combination. I'm like, he tried me on so many things, and it took a while, especially because I was drinking, but we finally got on the right stuff. And I'm always on her case. You cannot drink, because if you drink, the
Mhm.
meds don't work. it just doesn't like work the same way. So I'm always telling her, and I just feel like that is the most important thing for all of the patients
Yeah.
everywhere. Just don't give up and don't be afraid to tell you like, hey, this doesn't feel quite right, and switch it up if they need to. Don't quit. Don't drink or take other drugs
Hmm.
because it messes with the meds.
Hmm.
And don't, oh, I feel good and stop,
Right.
because that doesn't work, you know? So it's just like consistency, and then also being healthy physically,
Yeah.
like sunshine and exercise and eating healthy. Like
Hmm.
if you're putting crap into your body, it affects your brain too. Like if you just high sugar and carbs and all that, it's not good for your head.
Right.
So, you know, if you're not helping yourself, you
Hmm.
can't expect the pills to do everything.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm really proud of Brianna. She's actually going to come on the show. She's going to in a few weeks. I think she's going to come in the office, and we're going to have a sit down with her. But
I'm so proud of her.
I know, so I am too. I told her that too last time I talked to her. I said just because I know she's going to be going. Well, she's an EMT. She works at the ambulance and in the hospital, and then she's going to be a
Mhm.
medic. I think it's the Navy, right? Who's going into
Yes.
the Navy? Yeah. So it's fantastic. Yeah. So
And she did all that with a messed up mom and a messed up dad and a messed up stepmom and, you know,
yeah,
crazy life. She pushed herself to do this. And I tell her that, like,
yeah,
you know, you had to do it yourself. You didn't have parents that said, you're going to college, this is what you're going to do.
yeah,
You did it yourself.
yeah.
So I'm proud of her.
Well, thank you, Shannon. I so much appreciate you coming on. It was really great.
Yeah. Well, I so much appreciate you. So you're never allowed to retire because you have to take care of me forever.
I'm going to do this. I'm only 62. I'm going to do this probably at least 20 more years. My dad's 89. He still works, so it's not
Perfect.
retiring is not in my vocabulary. So
Good.
yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.